I'm David Johnson. I'm a retired lieutenant with the Sangamon County Sheriff's Department, and I'm president of the Illinois Police Officers Memorial Committee. On behalf of the committee, welcome to our constitutional officers that are giving up their time today to be here with us. I know there are members of the General Assembly. They're not in session right now, but I know they came down. I saw Senator Munoz in the audience. They felt that they needed to be here for this also. To the officers that have given their time to be here and volunteered their time on the honor.
Of truly some of the finest men and women Illinois has ever known. To my fellow constitutional officers, may these memories anchor our service as we continue to shape our state in a way that honors this collective grief. To the chiefs of police and sheriffs here with us, your leadership deserves commendation and a full measure of gratitude for your work to keep the people of Illinois safe. To our esteemed rank and file, no one is more responsible than you for the security and safety our families and neighbors and friends enjoy. In every way, the state, our cities, our counties are indebted to you for your bravery and empathy that you provide to all of our residents, even though times are immensely challenging, times like these. Today we honor 11 officers, 11 lives lost in service to our communities. The tragedy hasn't stopped in 2022. I want to recognize the loss of Knox County Deputy Nick Wiest, who made the ultimate sacrifice less than a week ago in pursuit of justice. Each of these officers' communities has been forever altered, teams forever grieved, families that will never be made whole again. To the loved ones of Officer Joseph Capello, Officer Gary Hibbs, State Trooper Todd Hannigan, Lieutenant James Kowski, Officer Alan Giachetti, Officer Christopher Oberheim, Officer Brian Pierce, Officer Ella French, Officer Tyler Timmons, Deputy Sean Riley, Sergeant Marlene Ritminick. The 11 officers we eternalize today leave behind not only memories and reverence for their service, but they also leave family who have been their support and their beloved. Today we honor that too. The sacrifices of family members of law enforcement begin the moment that their officers' careers begin, and it never ends. Please know our state can never fully repay you, but we will spend every minute of every day trying, because you deserve nothing less. And all across our state is immense grief felt by the broader community of first responders who share a common bond of courage and sacrifice. In every part of our state, our officers embrace their jobs with passion and with pride and with the devotion of the highest caliber. The day-to-day of an officer requires acts of grace that will largely go unnoticed, requires witnessing the best and the worst of all of our neighbors requires immense sacrifice, sometimes even the ultimate sacrifice. And these heroes remain on the job with a sense of duty few can match. In a few moments, Whitney Hopkins will lead us in the survivor's prayer. Whitney's husband, Trooper Hopkins, was lost in 2019. He was selfless and charismatic. His courage and his service can be found in Whitney and in their children, Evelyn and Owen, Emma and Casey, who have carried him in their hearts every day since. His was a bravery that traces through this room, a bravery that can be found in each and every one of you. May the memories of the loved ones we honor today be a blessing. And God bless all of you who've gathered here, who remember and bid farewell to those you love.
The next speaker being Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton.
Good morning, and thank you, Lieutenant Johnson. And thank you, Governor Pritzker, for your leadership and such healing words. I also want to thank those joining us, the elected officials, our distinguished guests, the police officers who continue to serve our communities as they grapple with the loss of their friends and colleagues. And I thank the families who face each day without their loved one, the children and young people who are growing up with the burden of grief. Just as the service and sacrifice of your loved ones reverberate throughout our communities across the state of Illinois, so too does your pride, your love, and your pain. We feel it with you. We carry it with you. And today we stand with you to honor the brave men and women who live on in your hearts every day. I too speak the names of the fallen officers who gave their lives to protect and serve us. Officer Joseph T. Capello III, Officer Gary Stephen Hibbs, Senior Master Trooper Todd A. Hannikin, Lieutenant James J. Kowski, Jr., Officer Alan Serta Chiaschetti, Officer Christopher Neil Oberheim, Officer Brian Russell Pierce, Jr., Officer Ella Grace French, Officer Tyler Nathaniel Timmons, Deputy Sean Ian Riley, and Sergeant Marlene R. Ritmanek. And I also speak and uplift the name of fallen Officer Nick Wiest, who we continue to hold in our hearts. May we please take just a moment of silence for the lives lost. Behind each of these names is a story about the passion that drives one to put themselves in harm's way if it means others will be kept safe. It is a story about the reality that our first responders confront every day and how they still decide to face it head on. It is also a story about us, the Illinois family. You see, it is on all of us to make sure the spirit of sacrifice, of honor, of strength that our fallen officers breathed into this state lives on. I think of the hundreds of people who braved the January cold this year to make sure Police Sergeant Marlene Ritmanek and her family weren't alone on their final journey to Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. And I think of how after the loss of Officer Brian Pierce Jr., first responders in both police and fire departments across the region uplifted his memory. They remembered the 3-year-old boy who lined up his toy police cars and fire trucks, who grew into the dedicated young man who would drive 100 miles one way to work the overnight shift. These moments, they not only bring comfort, but they show just how deeply embedded the lives, the stories of our police officers are in the fabric of our state. That even though they are no longer with us, the impact that they have made in our communities is far too everlasting to fade away. And these moments serve as a reminder to all of us who get to be safe because they serve, that we can give back by preserving their legacies. To the families, loved ones, and friends of our fallen officers, I hope it brings you peace to know that so many of us, including me and Governor Pritzker, are committed to ensuring their legacies are rooted in Illinois' story. We will never forget them. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, we shine a light on those who made our world better, our lives easier, and our homes safer. May their memory continue to be a blessing. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be the Attorney General of Illinois, Kwame Raoul.
Good morning. To the honored families who've lost a loved one in the line of duty, to the many law enforcement departments represented here today, many of which we get to partner with throughout the year, and to all the law enforcement officers within, to the constitutional officers, and to all those gathered here today. Today, I want to express my appreciation for each and every person who puts on a uniform on a daily basis, enduring challenging working conditions. They have continued to stand in the front lines throughout the public health crisis of a magnitude we had not seen in our lifetime. They served and protected despite unrest, broad brush criticism of law enforcement, and a rise in violent crime. I honor everyone who goes to work on behalf of the people of the state of Illinois under these conditions, but especially those who have made the ultimate sacrifice to keep us safe. During some of the darkest times in recent memory, they answered the call as essential workers. Some have fallen to disease because while many residents did their part by staying home, they did their part by going out to protect us all. Some have been victims of reckless or intoxicated motorists while in the course of performing their duties, including helping others in trouble along the road. Others perish due to gunfire, willing to stand in the gap between violent criminals and the communities they threaten. These officers operated in an environment of heightened disregard for the law and elevated risk to those who enforce it. They understood the danger, and they left home each and every day to do their jobs regardless, knowing that they may not return. It is not only those who made the sacrifice themselves whom we honor today, but their surviving families, deprived of the support of a dearly loved one, living with the vicarious trauma, whom I lift up in prayer. I salute these families who carry the grief, but also the pride of knowing that their loved ones gave their all for the safety and well-being of others. I am honored to be here in your presence and with the memories of the fallen. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Secretary of State Jesse White, and as he comes up here, I've been president now for 17 years. I've been
on the board for 19. I've been a part of this since around 1985. Since my time on the board, the secretary has missed one of these memorials. And every time I speak to him and his staff, all I get is, I am honored to be there, and I don't want to ever miss it. And I just thought that that had to be said so that everybody knows the Secretary of State, Jesse White, and how he really holds each and every one of us in his heart. So, Secretary of State, Jesse White.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. To Mr. Dave Johnson, thank you for your leadership, sir. To our governor, I want to thank you for not only taking on the job, but taking on the responsibility that goes with it. Along with my other constitutional officers, I want to thank you for your commitment to duty. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me an opportunity to come before you today. You are our heroes, and we rely upon you to keep us safe. Without you, perish the thought as to what society would be. And as law enforcement officers, you put your lives on the line each and every day to protect our communities and our population. Today, we honor 11 wonderful officers who made the ultimate sacrifice. They lost their lives in the line of duty. It's a sad day for all of us, but we must do all we can to make sure that we enforce the laws of the state of Illinois and of this great country of ours. And we take our young people at hand and we make sure that we teach them that when they come to this world, we want them to obey the laws and make sure they're in school on time every day and have one aim in mind, and that's to get the best education possible. And do all they can to stay out of harm's way and make sure that they obey the laws that have been set forth. We salute those officers for their honor and their courage, and I offer my heartfelt condolences to the families, friends, and colleagues of these brave officers. And on a personal note, this will be my last time coming before you, because I will have completed 23.5 years, and in January, 24 years serving as your Secretary of State. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to serve. I also want you to know that when I leave this office, I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing for 63 years. That's to help the young people, 18,500 young people who make up the Jesse White Tillman team out of Chicago, Illinois. They can be good athletes. We want them to be good citizens, good human beings, love their fellow man and woman, and obey the laws of this wonderful country of ours. I have a heavy heart when I think about the loss of these 11 individuals. It's a sad day for all of us, but as I said before, it's important for us to remember the sacrifices that were made by these wonderful individuals. My top priority is to support law enforcement. As your Secretary of State, I have the Secretary of State Police, and they have the same duties that law enforcement across this wonderful state have. We have to do all we can to support them, pat them on the back, and let them know that we care about them, and we appreciate the fact that they've done well in the service of their duty. And as I leave here today, I want you to know that this has been a day that I know that all of us will remember. God bless you, God bless them, and God bless America.
Our next speaker is listed as Treasurer Mike Ferrix. When I called his office in February, he already had this date on his calendar to be here. He called me Monday, apologizing very profusely that he could not be here. There is a Special Olympics and a scholarship presentation that's going on in Chicago now that is sponsored by the Treasurer's Office. A little bit after that, I got another phone call from his staff, asked if I could read a prepared statement from the treasurer since he could not be here. We agreed to do this. So I hope I can do it as much justice as he would have done, because for those of you who've been here in the past, you know how passionate he is about this ceremony. So, to the law enforcement officers here today, thank you for your selfless dedication. To the families of law enforcement here today, thank you for sharing your loved ones with us. And to those honoring a fallen officer today, know that their sacrifices and yours was not made in vain and will not be forgotten. It is true that in the best of days, it is not easy to be a police officer. The job is dangerous. It can be lonely. Every action or inaction is questioned. Today, however, is not a day to lament. It is a day to honor those who chose a noble profession. It is a day to celebrate that there still are those among us who wake up each morning with a passion to serve the public. A day to solemnly vow to meet again in a year's time with no new names to announce. On this day, the symbols of our country, of our state, our law enforcement are proudly on display for all to see. We display these items to remind each other that our values are important, to rally each other to be nourished by our collective strength, and to show others, especially those who do not share our respect for our values and law, they will not infringe upon the rights of others. Today on this ground, inside these buildings, you will hear a lot of words about public service and sacrifice. Words spoken by elected officials as well as advocates. Words spoken genuinely, honestly, and from the heart. But on this day, let us reserve the deep meaning of these words for those gathered here today in the memories of those who no longer are able to gather. To the officers here and across our state, thank you for your service. To the committee and volunteers who toil relentlessly in the background, know that your efforts are very much appreciated. Finally, to the families honoring their loved ones, thank you for your sacrifice, and please find comfort in knowing your loved one did not pass in vain. Thank you. Next speaker, be Comptroller Susana Mendoza.
Good morning. I'm so honored to be with you once again today. First, I have to thank Secretary of State Jesse White for his steadfast commitment to the people of Illinois. Secretary White, your retirement is well deserved, but your public service will be missed. And he did just mention that he has served dutifully for 23 years. That, I think, makes him the Michael Jordan of Illinois politics, or maybe it makes Michael Jordan the Jesse White of basketball. I don't know, but thank you for your service, Secretary White. Now, many of you know my brother Joaquin. He has served more than 20 years with the Chicago Police Department, and prior to that, he served 10 years as a police officer at the Moline Police Department in the Quad Cities. Like every single family member of a police officer, I would worry about him every single time he left to work the streets on his shift. And I would literally pray, I'm sure all of you still do today, for those of us who have family members in the police, we pray for their safe return. Today, we gather to honor the brave men and women of the police forces who made the ultimate sacrifice when performing one of the most noble calls there is to answer. Over the years, I've been to this memorial service many times, and each year it pains me to see more families join the club that no one ever willingly wants to join, the Gold Star families. From Chicago to Champaign to Wayne County to Knox County. Too many places in Illinois. We recognize officers from all over our state, and today we're recognizing 11 who have fallen. And we honor and we pray for them, and we pay tribute to them and to their families. This is a horribly difficult and painful day. There's nothing any of us, certainly not politicians, can say to make you feel better. I understand that. But to the family members, please know that while your loss is immeasurable and your anguish may at times seem unbearable, you are not alone. As you can see, there are so many officers and people from every single part of Illinois who are here right now, not only to pay tribute to your loved ones, but most importantly, to show you, the families, their love and support. You are part of one huge extended family, and we share in your grief. Now, it takes a very special kind of person to become a police officer. It's too often a thankless job. Let's be honest, it's 100% a thankless job. These are men and women who willingly choose to take an oath to protect and to serve all. They do this for people they've never even met. And they're willing to give their life for someone else, someone they don't even know, so that they can keep theirs. And really, what more profound form of love is there than that, right? They don't even know these folks, but they're willing to die to protect them. I don't believe there is a more formal type of love. So to every officer here today, thank you for your service and for your bravery. Thank you for continuing to serve and protect the public, even when those you protect have no thanks to return for your service. You are husbands and wives, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. Many of you have children of your own. Yet nonetheless, you leave the safety of your homes and go out there to face the darkest parts of society, parts that so many people like to pretend don't even exist. They do. Thank you for that. Thank you. And please know that you are appreciated and loved back by so many. I know you don't feel it, but please believe me when I tell you there are many more that love you and appreciate your sacrifice, what you do every single day for us. Now, earlier I mentioned that my brother Joaquin, a Chicago police detective sergeant, I talked about him a little bit, but he worked the third shift in some of the city's toughest neighborhoods willingly. The third shift, it stinks. No one really wants to do that, but he did. And for 23 years, that's what he did. And unfortunately, the job, my brother sacrificed. He developed type 2 diabetes working the third shift, where your only options are bad options for keeping a healthy lifestyle. I don't think it's actually possible to keep a healthy lifestyle. He didn't drink, he just, he ate, and it was all bad choices. But obviously, having type 2 diabetes poses a challenge in the era of COVID. And despite our best efforts to try to keep him safe, he did contract COVID-19 in mid-November of 2020, before vaccines were available. As you know, diabetics fall into a very high-risk category. And my brother Joaquin was admitted to the ICU just 2 days after his 56th birthday, and he struggled with life-threatening conditions. Including 5 strokes in his brain, and he lost both his kidneys. He was hospitalized for over 72 days, or 72 days I should say, and after that he came home to live with me and my family, so we could help take care of him, because that's what we do, right? We take care of our families. And He's still on the path to recovery, and I'm thankful that unlike the Gold Star families that are here today, my brother's an oak tree, and he survived. His life is never going to be the same, but he's on the road to rehabilitation. But I'm telling you this because while we are here today mostly to acknowledge the fallen, I'm sorry, I'm like a basket case here. I also want to acknowledge the toll that this line of work can take on one's physical and mental health. And we don't talk about that enough. Asking for or seeking help when you need it is a sign of strength. And I want every single officer in this building to understand that, yeah, you're police officers, you're law enforcement, you're tough, you're badasses. You're heroes to so many. But you're human. And it's okay. It's more than okay. It's a sign of strength to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. We all get by with the help of those who love us. So to the survivors here today, please lean on this community for support. To the officers here, know that your health and well-being is of utmost importance. You've taken on so much. You've taken on too much. But you need not totally sacrifice your well-being for this most noble profession. We need you to stay healthy. That's the bottom line. So to everyone, please stay safe. Know that a vast and wide network supports you. Families, please accept my deepest condolences for your immense and immeasurable loss. You are truly in my prayers. And to the officers present today, you're in my prayers too. You have my deepest respect and sincere gratitude. And while I will say thank you and may God bless you and keep you safe, rather than words, I think we as elected officials need to do more to stand up for our men and women in law enforcement, to speak up for our men and women in law enforcement, and to support and thank our men and women in law enforcement. Gold Star families, I love you. I send you my hugs and prayers, and we are here for you for anything that you may need. God bless you all.
You're going to follow that. The next speaker is Deputy Terry Roderick, retired from Simon County Sheriff's Department, a member of the Illinois Police Officers Memorial Committee, and the immediate past president of the Illinois Chapter of Concerns of Police Survivors. Good luck.
From the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8. Also, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And then I said, "Here I am, send me." Almost 1,000 law enforcement officers' names are on the wall here at the Capitol. They all said, "Here I am, send me," here to protect and serve. On panel 1, the first name added to the memorial is Chicago Police Patrolman Casper Laurel. On September 18, 1854, Patrolman Laurel had arrested an intoxicated man for fighting with his parents. At the intersection of Jackson Street and Edna Place, the suspect produced a knife and stabbed Patrolman in the ribs. Patrolman Laurel was able to stop the attack on his life by striking the suspect twice with his department-issued cane. Patrolman Laurel was a 34-year-old, had 5-year veterans with the department, and his badge was A1. I pray for the day we come together for this memorial service that we add no more names. However, it will not be 2023. As I stand here and speak, plans are currently being made for the funeral services of Knox County Deputy Sheriff Nicholas Wiest, who was killed last Friday, April 29th, 2022. During a vehicle assault, he was deploying stop sticks and was struck by the vehicle by an armed suspect. Behind every name on that memorial, there is a story. In 1985, the Illinois Police Officer Memorial Committee was established, and in 1990, the statue of the base and the statue itself was built. Last year, in 2020-21, we added the walls to unfortunately have to add more names in the future. Back in 1985, the Memorial Committee was formed by the 5 founding organizations: the Illinois Association of Chief of Police, the Illinois Fraternal Order of Police, the Illinois Police Association, the Illinois Sheriff's Association, and the Police Benevolent and Protective Association. These 5 organizations and others who have since joined the committee, we would like to say thank you on behalf of all the surviving families and agencies. To the families of the fallen, this memorial is your place. Your place to come and see that your loved one was not forgotten and will never be forgotten. To the law enforcement officers, this is your memorial too. Visit it often. Make a pledge to yourself and your family that you will do whatever you can to make sure your name will never be on that memorial. Not me, not today. Use the 5 tenets from the Below 100 program. Wear your seatbelts. Wear your vests. Watch your speed. Remember what's important now, and that complacency kills. In closing, I encourage everyone to take a picture of the panels at the memorial. Learn the stories behind the names. And as you travel throughout our highways and our country, where you see the dedication signs of officers who have died in the line of duty, learn about their story. May God bless each of you and your families. May God bless and give his guidance to the family of our fallen officers.
The survivor's prayer, which can be found in your program, be read by Whitney Hopkins. Family survivor, Trooper First Class Nicholas Hopkins, Illinois State Police, end of watch, 8/23/2019.
Good and gracious God, we are survivors seeking healing for our broken hearts and broken spirits. We are survivors seeking understanding of something that is incomprehensible. We are survivors seeking comfort in an inconsolable situation. We are survivors seeking faith where our faith is being challenged and tested. We are survivors seeking hope where all seems hopeless. We are survivors seeking love, a love that has been taken from us, yet we desperately cling to. We are survivors seeking peace. Peace in a knowledge that our loved one is with you and that one day we will find peace in our hearts. Lord, we thank you for your love and for the bond we survivors share. We find strength in you and in one another. Dear Lord, travel with all of us on our journey of healing. We pray that in your power and love and through each other, we will find all that we seek. Amen.
Our reader of the names will be Tracy Kohlmeyer, family survivor, Officer Casey Kohlmeyer, Pontiac Police Department, end of watch, 10/30/2013. During the reading of the names, the constitutional officers will be coming to the front of the stage to pay their condolences to our honored families as they receive the plaques. I want you also to know that after the presentation of the plaques and the playing of Amazing Grace by the combined pipes and drums, there will be live gunfire. Prepare yourselves for that. It will come immediately following the Amazing Grace. So to read the names, Tracy Colmeyer.
Officer Joseph T. Capello III, Melrose Park Police Department, end of watch 4/24/2020. Officer Gary Stephen Hibbs, Chicago Heights Police Department, end of watch 3/12/2021. Senior Master Trooper Todd A. Hannikin, Illinois State Police, end of watch 3/25/2021. Lieutenant James J. Kowski, Jr., Hometown Police Department, end of watch 4/3/2021. Officer Alan Serto Giacchetti, Cook County Sheriff's Police, end of watch 4/30/2021. Officer Christopher Neil Oberheim, Champaign Police Department, end of watch 5/19/2021. Officer Brian Russell Pierce, Jr., Brooklyn Police Department, end of watch 8/4/2021. Officer Ella Grace French, Chicago Police Department, end of watch 8/7/2021. Officer Tyler Nathaniel Timmons, Pontoon Beach Police Department, end of watch 10/26/2021. Deputy Sean Ian Riley, Wayne County Sheriff's Office, end of watch 12/29/2021. Ritmanick, Bradley Police Department, end of watch 12/30/2021.
That concludes this year's ceremony. A couple of announcements. The buses will leave for the North Field at 12:20. That will give you time to talk amongst each other and take a breather. There is a luncheon being served at the North Field provided by the Police Officer Memorial Committee. Everybody is invited to join us out there that wishes to do so. In closing, I'd like to wish all my brothers and sisters still in uniform or on the job, may God hold you in his hand and protect you as you go on your tours of duty. Be safe, be alert, and always come home. To our families, I hope that we have provided the dignity and the honor that not only your family deserves, but have earned. And we come here and do this every year, not to honor how your loved one died, but how they lived their lives, because that is a true mark that they left in this world. Thank you, be safe, and Godspeed.